Hmm. Good morning. Going to jump in this morning. Un-Swissindo issues new orders to protect the people. Last night's Freedom Range show with Lisa Harrison and crew, and I provide the link to that, presented a really good synopsis of the OPPT for those that are still on the fence about it. While I wanted to learn more about the new orders that have been issued to the Provost Marshal by the Un-Swissindo group, and had to wait until the last quarter of the 2-hour program, the review provided reaffirmation of what I felt in January when I first began exploring what the OPPT had done for all of us. In short, the people connected with the Un-Swissindo did the research on the OPPT for themselves and aligned with its principles before contacting Brian Kelly, which I talked about on Saturday. Today, I want to follow up on that video. Indeed, even as early as last Friday, when I first heard Brian talk about the Un-Swissindo connection to the OPPT, I was anxious to learn more about it and eagerly awaiting last night's broadcast, which, by the way, went over the 2 hours, and I did not listen to any continuing discussion after the 2-hour segment ended. And I will probably go and see what else was said and how far over they went. But in any case, I wanted to learn that because, like many of you, I am anxious about the idea of protection. And let me back up just a little bit and say something that was made very clear last night. The OPPT did not go after the Swissindo group that's connected to the UN, did not pursue them at all. It was the other way around. Those people came to Lisa Harrison, or specifically to Brian Kelly, as the media person, who Brian Kelly didn't even know he was the media person, but they contacted him as a representative of the OPPT. They have never, to anyone on the program last night, to anyone's knowledge, they have never spoken with Heather, Caleb, or the other guy, the trustees of the OPPT. They've never had communication with them at all, not at all. And they contacted Brian because their lawyers, their legal team, had researched this and said, this is a way we can accomplish our goal of serving humanity. Yes, folks, there really are good people in high places, wealthy people in high places that don't like all the crap that's been going on by the cabal. They don't like all of the criminal activity, all of the blackmail and the scandals in high places, and they don't like all this stuff. They really do. There are people with hearts that really do want to help humanity. They are not into the trans-humanistic movement of trying to to create human-like machines that have no souls to be the servants of the elite establishment so that they can get rid of all the natural humans that have hearts and souls and minds and passions and emotions and everything else that makes humans human. There really are good people, and there really is a divine plan. And it's because of that divine plan that I have continued to march down this road of nonconformity to the best of my ability and trying to deal with living in a world that isn't safe. And that's where a lot of people have issues. I know we as humans get focused on money because that's been That's been the thing, and they talked about that last night too, which is very good. But the real issue is fear. We have been brainwashed with fearful thoughts that are not make-believe, because in the so-called illusion of our human experience, of our holographic experience, in that illusion, bad things happen. Evil people do exist that have actual will and ability to influence our lives negatively. I learned that nearly a year ago, on May the 27th last year, when that sheriff deputy came and assaulted me in my own home in violation of all the rules of law, in violation of everything that I stood for and believed in, including that I would be graciously protected, which I wasn't in that instance. And what I've wanted all along is the ability to be left alone and do and be what I came here to do and be, which is to help people wake up. But I've had to deal, like almost all other humans, with issues of fear. And then they have the New Age religion people coming along and saying, what you fear, you create. Okay, I can see from the Bible, but Job feared, that which I greatly feared has come upon me. He lost everything. He lost his family. He lost his wealth. He lost his position in the community. He was sitting at the edge of the dump, scraping the boils that were on his skin with ashes, putting ashes on his boils to try to alleviate the pain. We talked about pain yesterday. People want this insanity to end. And it has to come with somebody that has teeth. It's not just, well, we're going to enforce it. Courtesy notices don't enforce it. I have a friend in Virginia, in rural Virginia, who issued courtesy notices to the bank and to the courts and to the people involved in her particular case, and they came and took her home without any problem. They forced her out of her home. They actually handcuffed her. They actually put other people, within days, other people are living in her house, and they sent her a bill for removal of her property and storage. They sent her a bill, and she served the courtesy notices. The courtesy notices may work for some people, but they won't work for everybody. It has nothing, listen, it has nothing to do with what we believe. Nothing to do with that. It has to do with what other people decide they're going to do. Because there are still people in this world that are still playing by the old rules. And until the people that give the orders with enough authority and the ability to pay the people that are going to enforce them, until that happens, people are not going to be safe living by principles that are different than the principles of the sick people that have been trying to run this world, the bankers and the scientists that are involved in the trans-humanist movement, and which I watched a video on that yesterday. That's another whole subject. But people are not going to be safe as long as these other people are still able to play that game. And so what I'm interested in, and what so many others in the world are interested in, is how are we going to bring enforcement? Now, there's two ways that enforcement can come, as I see it. I mean, real 3D enforcement. One is for Spirit, God, Creator, to empower me, us, individually, one at a time, so that we can be like Anastasia in the Vladimir Megra series, the Ringing Cedar series of Russia, that we can, when the authorities come to try to take us, we can freeze them, literally freeze them, show them a holographic image of what they're doing so that they get it, or stop their bullets if they try to fire at us, and we are physically protected as physical beings in a physical world with spiritual powers, supernatural powers, if you will. That's one way that we could enforce it, and we would have the power. But I don't have confidence that I can do that. Do you? And do you know of anybody that really does, that can do what Anastasia did according to what the story is told in I think the third book in that series? I don't have that confidence. Now the other thing is we need to fund what already exists, that is the military, and we need to have the military arrest the people that are imposing their will against the will of the people on everyone else. They need to be curtailed one way or another. Without this, there is no protection. There is no safety. And you say, but you've got to believe, you've got to believe, you've got to believe. Well, I can tell you instances in my own life where I did everything that I thought I knew to do to believe, and it still didn't work. My prayers still remained unanswered. Now that's my experience. How do you overrun that experience when it comes back and you can say, you can try to negate it and say, well, it didn't really happen. But it really did happen. I really did experience that. I really did experience the pain in my arm from it being bent up behind my back so that the back of my hand was against my the shoulder on that side. And it hurt for months. And for days thereafter, I couldn't even comb my own hair. I experienced that. You say, well, it's just a hologram, Ron. It's just an illusion. Why do you dwell on that thing? Because this is where we are as human beings in our conscious development. And I made a pledge before I came here, I honestly believe, to live as a human being. Now, somebody told me they got a message from the angelic realm in regard to me. He's not human. Well, none of us are fully human. All of us were seeded here from other extraterrestrial cultures, if you will. All of us are angels in physical form. All of us are ETs. And there was that movie last night that was premiered. I'm not going to watch it till it's released on CD or free on the internet. I'm not paying $9.99 to watch Sirius. But it's about our ET brothers and sisters. They are here. They are among us, and many of them are human. That is, they have human bodies just like we identify as human bodies. So none of us are just human. But I believe I chose to live within the parameters of human consciousness. Even though I've known for a long time that I'm more than that, and even though I've asked for extra help, I've had to live where everybody else lives. And that is facing my fear of being manhandled against my will or even martyred again. I've had the sense since I was very young that I've been martyred many times. Now, even before I believed in reincarnation, I had the fear of martyrdom. Why? Why? As I've explored it later on, it's because I believe I've been martyred at other times that I've been here. Now, I'm not saying I was Jesus or anybody that was important, because that's irrelevant. That's totally irrelevant. Right now, I'm experiencing my life as Ron Van Dyke, and you're experiencing your life as whoever you are. Whatever name has been applied to this experience for you, that's how you're experiencing your individual life. And that has meaning, and if it doesn't have meaning, there's something wrong. So I reject all spiritual principles that say that life is an illusion. I reject them. I have rejected them from the beginning. I reject the idea that we create our own reality when things can happen to us that we are not conscious of choosing. Because then we're not creating our own reality from what we consider our point of view or our conscious mind. The conscious mind has to make the unconscious conscious so that we can deal with it. If it's unconscious, if we don't know about it, then we can't be responsible for it. We are acting totally from instinct, totally reacting We're not able to respond because we don't have all the facts. And so many of you are worried about things. Well, so am I. But it was heartening to me to hear again, as Brian and others revealed, that these people that are in control of such vast wealth and have actual power, that they're able to issue executive orders in the UN, which is like everything else, a criminal organization. Yet within the criminal organizations, there are people that are on the side of humanity, are on the side of good, or on God's side. And I don't like to choose sides, but we live in a polarized culture. That's been where we have experienced our life as human beings. And it's important, if we're going to establish a world that works for everybody and peace on earth and the kingdom of heaven, or whatever nomenclature you want to give it, it's important that anyone that would overrun another person's will and take anything from them, any value from them, that's common law. There has to be a victim. There has to be someone that suffers a loss. And as long as there are people that will impose that on other people, they need to be arrested to make a general safe space for everybody else. It's not just imagination. It's not just belief. It has to be able to be experienced in our earthly life. Otherwise, it's meaningless. It's meaningless. Well, that's my take on where I am and where I believe many humans are consciously. And so I can feel for this lady in Virginia. I wish I could make things like that stop. Well, maybe the Un-Swissindo people who have connected with the OPPT, which has been, it no longer exists. Now it's just the one people, which if you listen to last night's show, you'll get that. The OPPT has been dissolved. All hierarchies have been dissolved. All power structures have been dissolved. And yet they're still in operation because we're in that transitional phase. We're in that overlap between the old paradigm and the new paradigm. And I'm anxious, like so many others, to see the new paradigm finally enforced. And so I'm really happy to hear what these people from Indonesia have done, and that they have connected with the OPPT, which is the legal foundation for freeing humanity. That's all I'm going to share. I've gone a little bit over what I wanted to. But thank you once again for listening, and I will talk more about this and other subjects in future videos. Namaste.